Hello and welcome to Painted Haint, the Christmas special. As you can see, I have tricked out my house for my room. This is not my house, y'all. Can you imagine my room for Christmas? I've even tricked out myself. No, these are not my real ears. I mean, I am short, but I am not an elf. Because if I was an elf, I would be gainfully employed right now. I'd be a seasonal worker working my behind off, but I'm not. So, I have a question for y'all. Where do you think elves come from? And I don't mean like the birds and the bees question, you freaks. Ew. I mean like culturally. Where do they come from? This is a question that I thought I kind of knew the answer to, but I really didn't. I thought I had it figured it out. Figured it out? I thought I had it figured out, but that's not it. That ain't it. So let's start from it. Let's start like way back. So elves start in Norse mythology. That's when we first see them in the 1500s. And these elves had two factions, the dark elf and the light elf. And elves in Norse mythology were called the Alfar. They were seen as shapeshifters. They were short in stature, and they were just like all about. They could be helpful, they could be mean. They can be mean, like, man. Do not elf with an elf. Don't elf with an elf. Because like they'll take your baby. That's where the changeling comes from. But so they're seen in Norse mythology, and then as Norse mythology spreads, due to like culture and all that, they become known as the hidden folk or the Huda folk in Iceland. And what's interesting is all through this through line of history, they're not tied to Christmas. But they are seen as helpful little helpers, and they live in trees or little places. So for example, the Hilda folk live in rocks. And actually, let's take a little side quest on the Hilda folk. So the Hilda folk are said to like they're so powerful. Like people in Iceland do not play about these little beings. It's so serious that if they see an area that was known by the older people, that like if they know like Hilda folk live there, they will change the project. And there have been stories where they were like, y'all are stupid. We're not moving this road, and then like crazy shit happens to their cat ditch witch or whatever, or like their Ryobi. I don't know construction. But yeah, play around with the Hilda folk. And that's one other thing that's interesting about elves when you look at Christmas elves and then like the OG elves, is that they're more human-like in the way that they can be really mean or really mischievous or really nice. In fact, and we'll get into like how they become Christmas elves, but in fact, like you've probably heard of this. Like if you're doing your hair and you're like, oh God, I got all these fairy knots or these elf knots. That's where that comes from. It comes from the fact that these little beings could be messy when they wanted to be. And I think that's actually, when you think about like Elf on the Shelf, so on like TikTok and YouTube and other places, you ever notice when people do Elf on the Shelf, the elves are always up to something? It comes from that mythology. That they could be messy or, a little mischievous. So how do they become Christmas elves? Now, originally, I thought it had to do with immigration and, people coming here with their stories, which is part of it. I truly believe, and I 100% think that's part of it, is like they came here, these people from places like Germany, Iceland, places, where elves were a big thing. or the UK, and they brought incorporated their stories into American folklore. That's part of it. But the other part of it is through the Brothers Grimm with, what is it, the Elf and the Shoemaker? The Elves and the Shoemaker, where the elves helped build shoes for a poor shoemaker. So you have that. You also have 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, which incorporates an elf, Santa Claus. He's a jolly old elf. So that's the other part of it. Then you have a sort of trickle down effect. So it's always with, my belief is it's always with media, books, magazines. So there were 2 magazines that I read about when I did my research on elves, and one was Harper's Weekly, which has been around forever and a day, like they're still out. And then you had, here, look at my notes real quick. Wait a minute, where is it? Oh, the so it's Harper's Weekly and the workshop of Godey's Lady's Book, which depicted the workshop of Santa Claus. So these 2 publications would show Christmas elves helping building toys. Now here's the tea on that, the historical tea. So when these 2 stories come out, the Industrial Revolution has just popped off here in the United States. The revolution was about coin, money, product. Don't care what happens to our workers. So what, I believe it was the Godey's book magazine, what they did was they like put in this sweet little story about elves and this little illustration. Oh, look at the elves working in their little workshop. And then a few pages later, they're like, this is what's really happening. And they showed, basically, or depicted rather, these people working in these awful conditions to build toys or other products, So that was also a part of it. It was almost like a campaign. So people would be like, yeah, honey, elves build your toys, not those poor Italian immigrants that we keep roasting because they're taking our jobs or whatever. But that is like the other origin of the Christmas elf. So it's a mixture of pop culture, and then it's like a way to nice things up, to make rich people, I would say like rich and like upper middle class people, not feel, crappy about about the fact that they're buying these toys, and these toys are being made by some poor kid who's like lost a finger, God knows what else, and not having breaks and 12-hour work day, like, you know what I mean, like the Industrial Revolution work day, which was like not a work day. But yeah, that's the origin of the American Christmas elf. What I find interesting though is that these elves as we know them today do hold the same not same mindset, but the same depiction as the elves from before. So they're hidden, like the Hither folk. They're small, like elves across the generations, or across cultures, like especially in Europe. And they're very mischievous. Think about Elf on the Shelf and all the things that people do with Elf on the Shelf. And some of y'all are dirty, because some of the stuff I done seen y'all doing, have an Elf on the Shelf do, is redonkulous. Hilarious, but redonkulous. Like, think about that. It's all coming from, and that's what's so cool about this, like about Christmas in general, is it's all coming from like sort of one culture, and then it's trickling down and like going in the different ways, and people are interpreting it as they see fit. So yeah, there you have it. The origin of the Christmas elf. On the next episode, we're going to talk about Father Winter. I crossed up Father Christmas and Old Man. So we're going to talk about Old Man Winter and Jack Frost. And I can't wait to do that. I hope that look works out. I'm not gonna like dress up as an old man, but I want to do like a wintry look. Because I just figured out how to make that blue and icy look on my skin look amazing. So I cannot wait to show y'all that. And after this video, I want y'all to be tuned. Girl, what? Stay tuned for some TikToks on elves around the world. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next Christmas episode of Painted Haint. And okay, side note, these painted haints are going to be like super light because Christmas deserves a little bit of light, a little bit of happiness because it's Christmas. So yeah, I'll see you then. Bye.